Before I left their house in July, ARC had given me a CD with the complete and unedited Cassiopean transcripts. As I read the unedited sessions, I was appalled. I joked in one of our last conversations in July that she would be wise to never let anyone else read the unedited versions. It was that damning. That's how much she's changed, guys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta, alongside with the Confused Wanderer. I would say how you doing today, but we woke up beside each other. So, for my channel, you guys, one quick note: this week is crazy for me, as many of you guys know, because I'm doing a documentary this week. And as you know, Todd, I was prepping all day yesterday again, going through my notes, all that kind of stuff. And so we do have Criminal Justice Chris coming back on the channel tomorrow, as well as Catherine Edwards, obviously, and I are going to be doing a Halloween episode. That's going to be a fun one. And then I've got Tamara coming back on to do the update, the horoscope, the look at the forecast for the month of November. But hopefully next week we'll be a little bit back to normal once I've wrapped on this documentary that I've been blessed to ask to be a part of. I'm so grateful that they've asked me to be a part of it, and 5 years of research pays off sometimes, doesn't it?
It does. That's really cool.
So anyway, we're going to be getting into part 4 of exposing the Cassiopeans. If you have not seen the first 3 parts, I will place them in the description box below. I'm sure you will too, Todd, on your channel.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that it's probably a good idea to start from the beginning. I mean, you could jump in here, but it would give you an overview of all of this if you start from the beginning, although it's still going to be entertaining and informative, even if you just jump in here and just listen, because it just keeps building on itself and going deeper down the rabbit hole with all of this. Yeah.
And I was telling you, Todd, like this story, I mean, we're doing this in chunks. I mean, we could probably do like a 10-hour episode, which neither one of us, I think, want to do that, nor do our listeners want to sit for 10 hours. But so that's why we're breaking it up into chunks, because there is literally so much information. Like, this story is so unbelievably scandalous. It's textbook. What we see from other cults, it's like following the same playbook, the grandiose behavior of the leader, the lies, this one day, I think we're on the edge, Todd, of this being a major story, because a lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, are familiar with the law of one work, and this is an offshoot of that. And so just like the process church of final judgment is an offshoot of Scientology, even though Scientology is not good either, it's how these little splinter groups start. And this is interesting. And so I keep tuned, guys, because we're hoping that this story does make it to a bigger network, because I don't know about you, Todd, but we both work in this industry, and healing industry, helping people through traditional yoga. And it pisses me off when somebody who's in a place of authority abuses that authority.
Right.
It makes us all look bad.
And how someone can tarnish a craft that has been around for so long.
Right.
You know, I mean, this channeling in and of itself started with shamanism, with shamans.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I mean, most religious texts are channeled material. Look at the Vedic, all the Vedic text.
Right.
This is all channeled stuff, you know, and so I'm sure there's some songs that are channeled, right?
Right.
Artists will say they just wrote a song and they don't know where it came from. It was channeled. And so it's important we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? We don't want to totally dismiss this craft that's very important, because we're going to get deeper into that over on Todd's channel eventually. But we want people to have discernment and to make sure that they are listening to their gut and that they know the signs of a cult and they understand spirituality. Like, I think anybody who gets into the channeling world needs to have a foundational understanding of spirituality. That the foundation of spirituality is exercise, because it all comes into the body. It's not outside of you, it's always inside of you. Have a foundation of the law of one, what service to self looks like, what service to others looks like. Both of these are paths. You have to decide which one you want to go on.
Right. And understand the dynamics of third density.
Yep.
Is another one. Yeah.
Yep. Because there's no denying that Laura Knight Yaddick is 100% service to self. Like, there's no denying it at this point, giving all the evidence we have and the allegations that are against her. There's no denying it. And I was thinking about our episode yesterday on my channel that we posted about the whole organic portal thing and suppressive person thing, that both the Cassiopaean cult and Scientology have that in common, where if anybody has dissent or questions Laura, basically, they are labeled an organic portal, just like Scientology labels anyone who questions Scientology a suppressive person. And again, I've said it and we'll say it every episode. We're expecting Laura to label us as such. We're expecting to have readings, which we're going to get more into. Are they really readings about us today, are coming out soon, trying to discredit us, because that is what cults do. That is just textbook. And if that happens, we've already said we're going to read them openly on our channels with you guys and look at them. We're not going to run from it. We're going to face it, because we are standing on evidence and truth. And so I was thinking about this, though, Todd, that when I first started reading the Cassiopeans material on my channel, and I would be reading it and I would be feeling very weird about her, Laura. She was the only one that was making me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
The Cassiopeans, even though they are service to self entities, they really weren't making me feel uncomfortable, because they are who they are. They said they were service to self. That's just who they are. And as we know, they don't lie. Even though they're the negative polarity, they still don't lie. They might manipulate the truth. They might try to spin the truth, but they're not lying. And
the only flat out lies would be the stuff that Laura changed. And there's proof that a lot of it, especially from 1994 to 2000, because we have the two different transcripts, one from Fred, the original channeler, and then Laura. So you can go back and you can see the transcripts that have been posted on Laura's forum, and then compare those to the transcripts that Fred put out. And you'll find a link in all our videos where you can download those transcripts and you can compare them yourself.
Yeah, you can see for yourself. And so the Cassiopeans, even though I suspected they were service to self, didn't weird me out. The Law of One already told us, the raw material said Cassiopeia was a service to self star constellation, just like Orion. But whatever, they are who they are. They're not going to lie to you. They're going to tell you the truth regardless. The only person in this whole situation that has made me uncomfortable from the very beginning has been Laura. My gut was not comfortable with her, and she would speak to people horribly. She was obviously, in my opinion, clueless as to what spirituality really is. She thinks spirituality is like uncovering conspiracy theories. But that's just part of the Maya anyway, the illusionary world, which if you actually study spirituality, that's why I say you need a foundation. The drama of it all, the story we all live in, that's part of the Maya. Conspiracy theory or not, it's all part of the drama. That's all it is. Spirituality is literally understanding who you are as a soul, despite what's happening in the world that you can't control. So she obviously has no clue. Like, she really just doesn't understand spirituality. So that bothered me, that she claims to be spiritual, but she really doesn't understand spirituality. Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up, Todd, because we spoke about this last episode about how handy it is if somebody is getting into this group, this Cassiopean group. They've joined the forum. They're getting closer and closer and closer over time with the leaders and the higher ups in the cult. They're being kind of groomed and loved bomb. And if they have a spouse or a friend or a parent or a child that's like raises some alarms, like I'm not feeling, are you sure about this? This group seems kind of weird to me. And Laura then is just going to label that family member of yours an OP, an organic portal, just like the Scientologists do with suppressive person.
Right. Well, she teaches the followers to do that. They have this indoctrination that they go through about how, as you grow spiritually, you're going to attract organic portals into your life that try to put a stop to your growth. And for wanderers, that's true.
Yeah. For soul people, that's not true.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. There might be more obstacles that come up, more shadow stuff that comes up that's yours.
Karma that
comes up. But as far as like attracting organic portals, a regular souled person, that's not going to happen. Too. So, but she uses that, she manipulates that as a way to create almost like a triangulation with her victim, the cult member, and their support system.
Right. Yes, exactly. It's a form of it's a tactic of isolation.
Yeah.
Because a cult needs to isolate the cult member from family and friends in their support group, so they can only rely on the cult members for support. And so once they have you isolated, then they can get their tentacles in you deeper.
Yeah. It's well, I was thinking it's a testament to you because I know you've been a fan of the Cassiopeans for a very long time, longer than I've known you. And I would come out of this room filming and I would just like vent to you and be like, this bitch, like this woman is awful, Todd. Yeah. She's awful. And in fairness, it had been a while since you had kind of read the beginning parts of the C's, and I was reading them consistently.
It had been over 20 years since I read the autobiography, that had the transcripts within them, and I skimmed a lot of it because I wasn't really interested in the person. But
that's
as
important.
We're getting to, that's important. I realized my mistake there.
Because I want to say,
go ahead. Yeah.
This is the point I'm getting at, is that I would come out to you week after week when I go through these transcripts. Almost every time I read, I would bitch to you and I'd be like, this woman is terrible. Like, she's a terrible person. And for a long time, you pushed back with me. You're like, no, you're just reading into it. She's had a hard life. And I kept saying to you, there's something wrong. Like this, my gut and the way that I'm reading these transcripts, I am not happy with her. She's the problem.
Right.
And finally, I can't remember what it was, but finally you started listening to me and you started doing your own digging into it. But I will say, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if you had been even more indoctrinated into it, you would have left me. Right? That's how, because imagine that happened.
Yeah, I don't think it would have gone that far, but I hear what you're saying. It would have caused some more. It was causing a little bit of turmoil until I really started to listen and started to look into it myself, and then it snowballed really quickly, and it happened really fast that I opened my eyes and I realized what was going on. And so, yeah, it took me a while to trust you. And I kept telling you, oh, don't focus on the person, the channeler, focus on the material. But now I realize that's my mistake. And you should look at both. Yeah. That's important to look at both. You shouldn't be lionizing the channeler.
No.
Because, they're just the channel. And that's it. And also, I had never heard the story that Laura was basically saying that the Cassiopeans were her. So she's like channeling herself, like she was the Cassiopeans. And I never came across that because I never looked into it that deeply. I would just read the transcripts, really, And so I was, hoodwinked because of that. It is important to look at the channeler and who they are.
And people can make mistakes. Like, you can have a channeler you really love and they can make mistakes as a person, but It's about owning it. It's about the integrity, even making mistakes, we still carry a moral compass.
Right. You're allowed to be human and channel higher density beings.
But to do the things to lie and manipulate and con and steal and try to unalive someone, that, as we read yesterday, where she was arrested for attempted unaliving. I think that's what it was, because Paula and I, my business partner, and I were reading, and those are still up, guys. I'm going to tag the playlist down below. You can find them. Some of the articles that she had written. And there was one that we got halfway through it. It was a long article, and we ended the episode halfway through it. We were going to go back and revisit it. I decided not to, because while we were reading the articles, she kept talking about, I'm paraphrasing, basically that she is the Messiah. Like, she's the chosen one. She's what's going to save humanity. She's the reason why aliens haven't invaded. And I was like, no, 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 because that is service to self. Like, to believe in a Messiah, to believe in that there's one person that's responsible and there's a pecking order of value when it comes to human life is totally service to self. Totally. We all, in the service to other side, we all have different parts to play. Some people's parts might be more public than others, but that does not mean they're more valuable than others. Does that make sense? And so there is no such thing as one person that's going to swoop in and save the world. We're all collectively here doing it together. As Ram Dass would say, we're all just walking each other home, right? We're all in the same boat together. Nobody gets out of this world alive, you know? And that's when I think I said to you, I was like, you need to read these articles, Todd. Like, this isn't just, now that I'm not just looking at her transcripts, but actually reading her articles, my opinion is growing even stronger. Like, I am certain now that there is something wrong. And I think that's when you started to crack a little bit, when I was like, she's literally calling herself the savior.
Well, the reason why I started to crack on that is because I remember reading in the transcripts when the Cassiopeans were talking about that, and they were saying that they were us coming to meet ourselves, that it was this wave, this consciousness wave, or I forget how they described it, but that we were coming from the future, in a sense, I guess, and then eventually merging with ourselves. And that was what I gathered, the beginning of fourth density on the planet. That's the way I understood it. I never saw where she claimed that that was her, that she was a Cassiopean, that she was the wave, and she was communicating with herself, with her higher self. I never saw that. Had I seen that sooner, I probably would have woken up, because I definitely
That's
don't
not
believe
okay.
that.
Yeah, that is not okay.
That's not okay. Yeah,
That's not.
yes, right. So
I also want to say one more thing before we get into it too, about the channeling. We were talking about this, and I know we're not going to show this in today's episode, but I wanted to just forewarn people. We've been talking about how she doesn't record her channeling, right? How she doesn't show the planchette or anything. She just types it up and puts it on for people to read. We know they've been altered. We know she changes things to suit her narrative, to control her narrative. But you said you found something in one of the earlier where the C's had basically said she could just auto type.
But the C's actually didn't say that.
It was something she had added in, because it's not in Frank's, where she could just sit down and type and like write it out. And that's even scarier, because she could literally just type up a transmission with the C's. That's literally her imagination.
Yeah. So in my opinion, anything after any of the quote unquote channeling after 2000, I don't trust, because you can't compare them with the transcripts from Fred and her transcripts. So we don't know if she's at the computer. We don't know if
she could be. She very well could be just at the computer typing shit up, making shit up.
Yeah.
You know, I find it fascinating that the C's talk like her, like they have the same rhythm of speaking. That's not my experiencing with channeling, is that you don't get the same rhythm of speaking with the entity you're talking to, but with her you do. So that's interesting to me. Just going to leave it there. So I guess in saying that, if she does release a channeled reading about us being OPs,
right,
it's coming from her imagination.
Right.
Basically. And one more thing before we get into it, I want to just briefly talk about the Wayback Machine, because we had a question, Todd. First of all, the Wayback Machine is what you've been using to pull up these old buried websites, buried evidence that we're going through. Somebody asked about the donations. Do you have to pay for it? No, you do not have to pay for the Wayback Machine. It is totally free. They might ask you for a donation, but you do not have to give a donation. And somebody asked if we thought that was okay. They were asking for donations. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we have to we have to understand that expecting someone to give us services for free is not good or noble. It's not noble to expect somebody to give you stuff for free. Okay. It's an energy exchange. And so if whoever is running the Wayback Machine is asking for donations, it's because they need that support to keep this available for us to use. It's an energy exchange, but they're not forcing you to give donations. It's optional.
And another great service of the Wayback Machine, it's also connected to a book archive that you can go through and find incredible out of print books dating all the way back to like the 1600s.
Yeah.
So use that service. It's not just the Wayback Machine. It's an internet archive service of both books, videos, recordings. It's incredible. I spent a lot of time there digging.
You do.
It's great. Yeah, it's a great way to do research. That's how I found all this Vincent Bridges stuff. If it wasn't for beginning to do research, trying to find who the original channeler of the Cassiopeia material was, I would have never come across Vincent Bridges' website, and I would never have uncovered what I've uncovered here. There's so much that he's written about this. And other people have written about this, and then it just was buried for over 20 years, and now it's resurfacing. And yeah, it's an eye opener. All right, is that good right there?
Yep.
Okay. Do you want me to start reading?
Sure.
Okay. The Case Evidence by Vincent Bridges and Jay Widener. Let's begin by paraphrasing Gertrude Stein. A lie is a lie is a lie is a lie. For Laurinite Yaddick, the Cassiopeans are a lie told so often that it's become truth. They are for her kind of virtual omniscient arbiter of ultimate truth somewhere in the future. To be blunt, this can only be an example of pathology run wild. When one lies to oneself so deeply and so consistently and with such aberrant ideation as to believe that yourself in the future is talking to you via a Ouija board, then madness seems the only conclusion. Laurinite Yaddick.
Pause.
Okay, yeah, because you said something.
This is really important too, because this not only goes back to Laura, this goes back to something else I see in channeling all the time, which really drives me crazy. When people, because you're not supposed to really be reading on people without their consent. Like you shouldn't be pulling tarot cards on people without their consent, all that kind of stuff. That kind of breaks some rules there. And a lot of times I'll see with these like tarot card readers on YouTube, well, to justify doing it, they'll be like, well, I asked their higher self. That's manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a higher self, but the higher self is not here in third density living out the karma that the lower self is. So the higher self can't answer for the lower self. So that's another version of that, isn't it? Like trusting some etherical voice because it's the higher self, when that's really not what the higher self is for. It's not for control. It's not for manipulation. It's not for, think about like in a more extreme case, like if a man wanted to be intimate with a woman and the woman said no, but then the man said, well, I asked your higher self, and your higher self said it was okay. Right. It's a more extreme version of that, but maybe that would give kind of a, so I would suggest for all, because if you're watching this show, you're obviously interested in channeling. I would be conscious of that. Like higher selves can't be involved in this. That's a manipulation. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Laurinite Yaddick has been telling lies and believing them with great conviction since childhood. The Cassiopeans are just the latest and most grandiose attempt by a desperately lonely person to gain some attention, some notice, some respect, whether deserved or not. Of course, the Cassiopeans are just Laura in the future. Wasn't that obvious from the beginning? If you're reading this and you are probably interested in one way or another in the long, sad, and sordid saga of Laurinite Yaddick, and her misadventures with the Cassiopeans. You might have seen their site or even read some of Laura's work. You might be one of her fans or even a follower, perhaps even one of those who contribute to her lifestyle in France because you like what she has to say. No matter, the truth by now should be plain for all to see. Laura Knight Yaddick is in service to no one but herself. Laura Knight Yaddick is a thief, and most important of all, a liar. That Laura Knight Yaddick, her husband, Ark Yaddick, and other members of the Perseus Foundation did in fact commit serious fraud with the fake house raffle scam. The so-called raffle of the millennium should be obvious to anyone who takes the time to look at the very basic details. One, they took in money between $100,000 and $150,000 from October to January 2002 to 3 as a nonprofit raffle sponsor, even though the Perseus Foundation is not now and never has been a legal 501c3 with the ability to grant tax write-offs for donations. 2, they never gave their house away, didn't even pay off the mortgage, and as recently as this summer, 2003, we're trying to sell it themselves. They left quickly for France. This is 3, sorry. They quickly left for France, where, by Laura's own figures in various installments of the French Connection, they have spent over $80,000 in moving and living expenses, in addition to a $50,000 down payment on a castle. Laura Knight Yaddick has admitted in various... Okay, yeah.
Can you explain that to people, or is he going to explain a little bit more about what happened with her house situation? Because you were talking to me about it.
Yeah, it's going to come up again. I don't want to give a bunch of details because I'm not exactly sure how it all went down, but from what I understand on their old forum, they were doing this, they called it, what they call it? They called it the raffle of the millennium. And so they were raffling off their house. And then they took in all this money because you had to donate money to be in the drawing. And then supposedly the drawing happened, and I guess the person that won it was like a family member or something, and they never truly like announced the winner, and so it all looked shady. And then she blamed it on the people living in the house that wouldn't leave. It was all twisted, and he gets into it more. I just don't remember exactly.
It was just scammy. It was a little scammy.
Right. But then, yeah, right. Little scammy. And he'll definitely in the future down the road, there was an article where he breaks it down in more detail. And it may be here. I don't remember. All right, where was I? Right here. Okay. Laura Knight Yaddick is such a brazen thief that she even writes long articles.
Paragraph up.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. All right. Laura Knight Yaddick has admitted in various roundabout places that the above facts are true. The donation pages no longer mentions the Perseus Foundation or any kind of tax exempt status. And certainly there has never been any sort of authorization letter from the IRS granting 501c3 status. Laura admitted that things didn't go quite right with the house in Florida, but blamed it on the people she left in charge. And while she has never said where the money she details in her rantings come from, there can be little doubt that it is, in fact, the money from the raffle scam. Laura Knight Yaddick is such a brazen thief that she even writes long articles describing what they did and how they spent the stolen money, and feels persecuted when her critics and even her followers call her on it. From this alone, we can see her psychopathic sense of entitlement and her complete lack of understanding about the consequences of her actions. But it is Laura Knight Yaddick's lies that really tell the tale. Rather than just telling the truth about the raffle, Laura Knight Yaddick began to lie even more. And as the lies grew more obvious, the facade began to crack. Even her most ardent supporters began to ask a few too many inconvenient questions. Where did the money go? How did you pay for moving to France? And most telling of all, where are the Cassiopeans? And so she trotted out the biggest, fattest lie of all. The Cassiopeans themselves weren't really anything but omniscient Laura talking to herself from the future. She didn't need to channel at the old Ouija board. No, sir. She could do it just as she typed in her old easy chair. It's all just her anyway, right?
So this does come up in today's episode. I think I said we were going to get into another, but yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we were talking about, what you were talking about was where it actually said that in her version of the transcripts, but the original version of the transcripts never mentioned that.
Yeah.
Right. The logical implication.
So basically she added that in herself.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The logical implications of this belief system are almost as mind-boggling as the what is that?
Cretan paradox.
Cretan paradox. I don't know what that is, which it so resembles. In this sense, all channelers are liars, except the one who tells you that all channelers are liars. But a channeler who says she's talking to herself through the board might be telling the truth, in which case she wouldn't be channeling, and so on. The real truth concealed by all her lies is this: she can't pull it off anymore. The Cassiopean experiment is over. The Cassiopeans have always been a lie. Laura Knight Yaddick read wildly and was a fast speller. To her, the Ouija board was an easy way to say things that she couldn't express otherwise. From the beginning, she manipulated the responses in various ways, including extensive post-session editing, to get the result she wanted. In simple terms, she faked it. However, with an entourage watching, it becomes harder to fake it. So now she just makes it up at the computer as she goes along. The lie, the Cassiopeans have been the reality, Laura in the future.
So he's basically confirming that she doesn't even use the board anymore that much.
Right. That she could just, because since it's herself in the future, she could just sit down and type it. But if it was just her typing this stuff out, no one would really believe it. So she has to attach that to a higher power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's spiritual manipulation.
Right.
Do you want me to read or you want to read?
Why don't you read from
Yeah, you can mute yourself if I think Ravi's barking.
Yeah, I'm going to go right.
Yeah, you can mute. If Ravi's in the front room with Todd, so you can mute it. Ravi, our little boy, he gets very offended when people walk by our place, and we live in a city, so it happens quite often. All right, the art of character assassination in cyberspace. A brief review of the conflict. Perhaps the best and most comprehensive overview of the conflict as of last spring is the article by Rollo Tomasi entitled Intimacy, because I can't say that word, so don't say that word, Todd. Intimacy. Todd's new, guys. He's new to YouTube, so he doesn't know all the words that will put you in the corner with the dunce hat on. So, intimies, lies, and Ouija boards. For those wanting an even more basic breakdown, here's a simple outline of the events. 1994. Laura Knight and Fred Earlin begin to channel the Cassiopeans. Fred Earlin is Frank. You guys, that's Frank. 1995, Laura met Tom French, a writer at the St. Pete Times, at a UFO conference. He begins an article on her. 1996, Laura decides that her husband, Lewis Martin, was a zombie replacement sent to stop her from evolving by evil lizard aliens and divorced him. Sounds a lot like, guys, that is a lot like the Lori Daybell, Chad Daybell case, another cult.
Right.
Very similar, aren't they? Yeah. 1997, Ark Yaddick's first visit. 1998, they married. 1999, in May, I began exchanging emails with Mrs. Laura Knight Yaddick. This continued until March of 2000. February 2000, the long-awaited article on Laura and the Cassiopean appears in the St. Pete Times on the day before Valentine's Day. Our first exchange ended soon after. July 2000, Laura got in touch with me wanting to help with a curious email.
We reestablished our discussion, and I was invited to a session with her in her house in Florida. In October, I decided to write about her and the Cassiopeans. October 2000. Fred Earlin called it quits and does not show up for proposed sessions. All channeling stopped when Fred left. That's important. And I know for you guys who have been around for a while, sound off in the comment section. We've read on my channel, I'll put the playlist there for anybody who's new. We've read some of Fred's actual channeling that's included. It's amazing. Like, I keep trying to encourage you, Todd, to go back and reread some of
I am going to do that.
And I got so many emails from people like agreeing with me that they were crying listening to the reading. It was so touching, and it was really helpful. It wasn't just conspiratorial drama. Basically, let's call it what it is. Sometimes conspiracy theories are like T pages. They're just drama channels. That's what it is. So let us know in the comment section below if you really enjoyed Fred or Frank's readings.
We should put a little bit of that in here while we're reading this, maybe at the end of some of the
I would have to go back and find it, but if you guys,
I'll go back and find it, because
well, I tell you what, why don't we do this, Todd? Why don't we, because these episodes get long, let us know in the comment section. Do you want Todd and me together to look back at some of Fred's solo channeling sessions? Let us know, because I've already done it, but if you want Todd and me to do it together, and compare it to like legit spirituality compared to the crap that Laura gives us, just let us know in the comment section. Okay. December 2000. As our discussions continue, I verified some of the Cassiopeans' most curious remarks and so became their new catch. January 2001. Laura cements the connection even further with part 13 of The Wave, where she declared that I am the only person beside her that truly understood the Cassiopeans. Talk about love bombing and grooming. Yeah, Laura, only people who can actually channel are wanderers. So Frank is a wanderer, Fred's a wanderer. Obviously, Vincent Bridges was a wanderer too.
And the reason why she was love bombing him is at the time, Vincent Bridges was very connected in the groups that Laura wanted to be a part of.
Yes. So she needed him. He didn't need her. He did not need Laura. He already had a name for himself. She needed him.
He's already doing conferences, writing books, co-authoring stuff in documentaries, so on and so forth.
Friends, we have got a brand new video over on Fusion Body Studio with senior teacher Todd Roderick. This is a Yoga Strong yoga drills video, all levels, 30 minutes. In this video, senior teacher Todd Roderick takes people through particular movements that should help empower you in your yoga practice. Even though Todd is an Ashtanga practitioner and teacher, these yoga drills are good for any type of lineage. These yoga drills can also help with any other form of movement, as in these drills, Todd is mainly focusing on movement in the core and in the hips, making sure the hips and the core stay nice and strong. Todd himself has been a dedicated student of Ashtanga Yoga since 1995, and he is the most experienced Ashtanga teacher in the southeastern United States. Beginning in 1997, Todd started his journey over into Mysore, India to study at the Ashtanga Yoga Research Institute. During his time there, Todd studied directly under the late guru Sri K. Pattabhi Jois and Sharat Jois. In 1998, Sri K. Pattabhi Jois gave Todd direct permission to teach the Ashtanga Yoga lineage system in the United States. Todd continued to study with Sharat after Sri K. Pattabhi Jois's passing. Todd also studied at the Ashtanga Yoga Center with Tim Miller in San Diego from 1998 to 1999 and with Rolf Najakai in Thailand in 2007. We are truly blessed to have someone of Todd's caliber and experience being a contributing teacher here on Fusion Body Studio. So if you would like to practice with Todd on Fusion Body Studio, you can enter discount code AYA20 at checkout. AYA20, that stands for Ashtanga Yoga Atlanta. Todd Shala here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of the busiest shalas in the whole southeastern United States. So if you enter discount code AYA20 at checkout for Fusion Body Studio, you will get 20% off your tuition at Fusion Body Studio for the next 6 months. On top of that, you get 7 days of a free trial before your credit card is charged. Our tier 1 price at Fusion Body Studio is $25 a month. That gives you unlimited access to the full library of all of our workout videos, including Todd's videos and my videos and Cindy's videos and other teachers' videos, a whole library of fitness boutique and at-home gym at your fingertips for only $25 a month. That is quite a deal. That basically is a price of a drop-in at a yoga studio here in Atlanta, Georgia. But if you want more than that, you can go up to tier 2, which is $40 a month, which gives you unlimited access to all of the exercise classes, but also gives you access to the workshops, where we have workshops over the Bhagavad Gita, health, healing, and beyond, the teachings, the holistic teachings of Krishnamacharya, and a Vedic chanting course led by Todd Roderick, as well as Todd is one of the few teachers in the United States that's qualified to teach Vedic chanting. With already low prices and a 20% discount on top of that by using code AYA20, you cannot go wrong with this deal. And we look forward to seeing you over on Fusion Body Studio, where you have the opportunity, the unique opportunity to practice daily with master teachers from all over the world. We look forward to seeing you on the mat. Okay, February 2001, my involvement deepens as I helped Laura and Ark undermine another group member. I was preparing a conference for the fall of 2001 and invited them to participate. They immediately put an announcement up on their website. So he's saying that he helped Laura and Ark undermine another group member, right? So that happens a lot, and people feel guilty about that. And it just happens, like when you get ensnared by a narcissist, they then turn you into a flying monkey to do their dirty work for them. Right. So that happens.
It was a little test.
Yeah, to see how loyal he was going to be to Laura, right? Basically.
Right.
March 2001, I visited Laura and Ark in Florida, staying 4 days at their house in Newport Richey. During that time, I participated in 2 Ouija board sessions, the transcripts of which can be found on their site in the Mirror Session article. At that meeting, we also came to an agreement concerning publishing the Noah Syndrome, Laura's pre-Cassiopean book. They agreed to send me a completed text with annotations by Ark, and I agreed to read it, and if I thought it good enough, then to edit and design it, get it ready for publication, basically. If at that point we thought it would work, then we would do contracts for publication. Fairly standard operating procedure in the publishing industry. I also joined several other discussion groups where I was touted as the new guru. Love bombing. April 2001. The drafts for the Noah Syndrome arrived from Laura and Ark. The ads for the conference went up on my website. I became more involved in the discussion groups where I and everyone else were encouraged to share details of their personal history. That's big. Narcissists do that, don't they? They want your details so they can use it later to try to blackmail you or shame you. These details would later be used against me in my public expose. An excellent example of the cult's tactics, like what Scientology does with the e-meters.
Right.
Where they get you to admit scandalous stuff about your life, and they use it on you later to blackmail you or to try to smear you.
Yeah.
God, she is following right down the line of L. Ron
Hubbard.
Hubbard.
Yeah, the playbook.
Her and L. Ron Hubbard are like that.
Yeah.
May 2001, problems arose over Fred Ireland's role in the channel material as I read the drafts of the new Amazing Grace. So Fred, again, is Frank. Laura sent me emails partially from Fred or Frank that seemed to indicate that he wanted nothing further to do with the Cassiopeans. It did not, however, imply that Laura could do whatever she wanted with their jointly produced material. I made the decision that I wouldn't publish any Cassiopean books until the matter of Frank or Fred's copyrights were resolved. Work, however, began on the Noah Syndrome. And we talked about, I don't know if we talked about this on air, Todd, or if it was just you and me. So I apologize if we're repeating a conversation. But we know that
Fred or Frank wanted to basically do these sessions, put them up on this new thing called the internet, and just leave them for people to discuss. He really,
Yeah, well, they, it was when forums were really starting to get popular, and I think that they had already started to develop a forum, and he just wanted to post them publicly, and then in the forum, people could just openly discuss what was brought up in those transcripts.
You mean he wasn't going to try to control the conversation like Laura does?
No,
Yeah,
not at
he was
all.
just going to let people talk about it. And it seemed, I think again, I don't know if we spoke about this on air or like at Pillow Talk, but it seems like Fred put a copyright on the Cassiopean material because he was scared of what Laura was going to do. It wasn't about trying to legally blacklist other people from using it or talking about it, but he was trying to stop Laura from doing what she did. Am I correct in saying that? That's kind of what it appears.
Yes.
Speculate. Because he
Yes.
doesn't seem like the type of person that would actually really care, but it just seemed like that was something he felt like he could do to try to stop this obvious psychopath, in my opinion, from hurting other people with his channel work, with his
Right, and he's gonna get into that, I think,
oh, okay.
in just a little bit. We'll see.
So now that they're going to try to publish this Noah syndrome, they have these transcripts from the Cassiopean, and there's a problem because Laura doesn't own the copyright. They got to get the copyright from Fred or Frank because what publication that could put the publishing house into some legal problems, right?
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
there's a stall now. So
Yeah.
June 2001. Oh, go back. I didn't read that one.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna start reading, but go ahead.
Oh. A major problem arose when one of Laura's former hypnotherapy clients threatened to sue over Laura's use of her pictures and story on the website, warning signs of serious trouble to come. That is serious. You're never supposed to do that as a healer, are you?
No.
You're never supposed to do that. Talk about your clients or expose your clients.
Right,
Even
I
as
know.
yoga teachers, that's probably questionable for us ethically.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take over?
Sure, yeah. Okay, July 2001. At the end of June, I received an urgent invitation to come to Florida for a session with the Cassiopeians over the weekend of July 4th. It should be noted that between October 2000, when Fred Earland left in August of 2001, when ARC took over the board, the only contact Laura had had with the Cassiopeians came through me. Although they tried several others on the planchette, only the 2 sessions in which I participated in March are at least as coherent as the average Cassiopean transcription. This unexpected development put me in a rather awkward position. I had no desire to become Laura's new channeling partner. So that gets back to how Fred and Vincent were obviously the wanderers, and she needed another wanderer on the board so she could actually start channeling. And yes. And
so an idea just came to me too, Todd. I guess this might be a PSA now, because if you don't know if you're a wanderer, like I didn't really know I could channel until recently.
right.
Did I, Todd?
No.
And it just all of a sudden started happening. If I was, now I'm doing it with Todd. I trust Todd, obviously.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're just hanging out with friends and you start doing something and all of a sudden this ability comes through.
Yeah.
And the other friend, you have to be careful with who you do this stuff with, don't you? Do you think, you see what I'm saying? Like you could be walking yourself into a situation and you don't know if you're a wanderer, you don't know if you have this siddhi to be able to do this. And all of a sudden it exposes itself. And if the person sitting on the other side of the board isn't somebody who has integrity, honesty, or thirdly, like loves you as a person, you are then primed to be taken advantage of.
Right. Yeah. So it was obvious that within that situation, that Laura felt like she really needed Vincent because she wasn't able to channel on her own once Fred left. And now all of a sudden she's able to channel again. And the only reason for that was the fact that Vincent sat down at the board with her.
And just to clarify,
because it's obvious that Laura herself is not a wanderer.
Not a wanderer. She can't channel. So it's not her channeling. It's not her channeling.
Right.
She's not the channel. It's obvious when you see that she is not the channel. So therefore, it can't be that her higher self. It can't be herself from the future because she's not the channel.
Right.
the person that she's on the board with is obviously she's exposing herself here.
Right. And so the whole destiny swap thing conversation we were getting into with the whole, because he talked about the mirror and he's about to get into it more. So let's wait for a second and before we get into the mirror thing, because it's the next paragraph down. So let me finish this one and we could talk about that more. Okay, where was I? This unexpected development put me in a rather awkward position. I had no desire to become Laura's new channeling partner. They also told me directly that a rich Finnish businessman was coming to visit, and they wanted their publisher there to give them an extra dollop of credibility. The idea was to get the Finn to donate a large chunk of money for anti-gravity and time travel research based on the Cassiopean material. Now we're at July 4th through 6th, 2001. I decided to go because I thought the Noah syndrome had possibilities, that I needed to discuss with them the business aspect of our publishing deal, as well as details of the fall conference. I was also troubled by the latest developments and wanted to figure out what was really going on with these folks. Several things happened. We did a mirror session, available as an MP3 on the Cassiopean site, in which something very dark appears to have seized control of Laura. The afternoon before that session, I listened for many hours to Laura and Ark as they tried to convince a legitimate businessman to give them several $1 million to build an anti-gravity device as suggested by the Cassiopeans. It came across as a direct and naive attempt at a con job. After the Finnish businessman had gratefully escaped, I tried to have my conversation about publishing, money, and the dubious morality of running an anti-gravity scam. All Laura heard was that there was no way publishing her book with my company was going to produce the immediate hundreds of thousands of dollars they needed to pay their bills. And then it was mirror time. On the way home, I realized that I had been had. So there was this mirror session where he's saying that there was this dark thing had seized control of Laura. And from what I understand is, I think that there was a spell cast and she tried and maybe was successful to destiny swap with Vincent Bridges, and that further feeds her need to take him out.
And that's why she had to get him down there.
Right. That, and then everything that happens after that, this is just my opinion, everything that happens after that with her major smear campaigns and making his life a living hell was part of the spell, the mirror spell that she did while he was there. She realized that she had this wanderer, that she could then, sitting down with Vincent Bridges, she could all of a sudden channel the Cassiopeans again.
Yep.
And so somehow she was able to cast this spell, this black magic spell, to destiny swap with him. And when you do a spell like that, there's a whole ritual that goes along with it. So there's the initial spell, but then you sort of have to pay the piper and you have to feed the spell. And part of the black magic spells involve you having to take someone out. If you're going to take someone's destiny, if you're going to try to destiny swap and sort of steal that wanderer's energy, you've then got to be proactive in destroying that person. And that's how you're able to get your tentacles in and feed off that person. And so, in my opinion, everything that happened after this with Laura running the smear on Vincent was a part of this spell.
Yep, I agree 100%. We know that destiny swap spells have been done on me multiple times.
Yeah.
And they've gotten more refined now because the internet has gotten faster
and these witches know how to, these dark witches know how to use the internet without you being there. This is serious. This is serious. And it wasn't long after this. I mean, Vincent Bridges mysteriously had a heart attack out of nowhere in 2014. And I believe, it is my belief, that the black magic spell Laura has done to Destiny Swap basically take Vincent Bridges' life force so that she can continue doing this, because she can't do it without him. She's sacrificing his existence to feed her own. That's what that is. I believe, in my opinion, that's what gave him a heart attack out of nowhere.
Right. And it could just be, it could have just been also the amount of stress he was under.
Yeah, which is part of it, I think, too. That's
right. Yeah.
because black magic is very simple, right?
Right.
Sometimes black magic can just be thinking negative thoughts about somebody, you know, like we know more about energy now. And I think that what he saw, and the funny thing is, as you said, Todd, is that at some point the Cassiopeans say that mirrors don't work. They're not really a thing.
Right.
But obviously they are. I mean,
you can go way back in time and read the spell books and magic books from the early days. And it's so much mirror work.
So much mirror work. You can see things in mirrors that but she's obviously trying to cover her tracks in my
reversal spells of mirrors. And so it was curious that in the quote unquote Cassiopean readings they talked about, oh no, mirrors, nothing can come through a mirror, and mirrors aren't, they don't have any magical qualities, when in fact they do. Okay, let me move on.
Well, and I will say, when I first met you, Todd, we first moved in together, you wouldn't allow mirrors in our bedroom.
Right. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Mid-July 2001. However I felt about Laura and the Cassiopeans after the events on my visit, I found I was stuck with them. First, there was the conference. By mid-July, more than a month after the deposit was paid on the retreat center, and with the space at the conference was more than 2/3 filled with Cassiopean followers. The conference itself depended on Laura. And then there was the book. I had included it as one of our 3 books for publication that quarter for a large book distributor, and received a very positive response. So my small publishing company now also depended on them. After a few conversations in the weeks after my visit, I concluded that something was seriously askew, but I couldn't quite figure out what they were up to. I went away for a week to do a psychic kids camp and came back with pneumonia. And so for the last 2 weeks of July and the first week of August, I was completely out of touch, away from my computer and off the discussion groups. August 2001. When I recovered somewhat in early August, I discovered that the first round of what Laura would later call her campaign of systemic harassment had already begun. About the time I dropped out of touch, they posted a very negative disclaimer about the conference on their website. But they didn't drop out entirely because the timing wasn't right. Ark sent me an email about wanting to connect on the Noah syndrome, and when I recovered, he received one. They were in contact with my wife, Darlene, who was designing and pre-pressing the book while I was sick, and so they knew that work was progressing. Between the August 5th and August 8th, it all came to a head. Laura and Ark dropped out of the conference, waiting carefully to do so until the deposit became unrefundable, with less than 6 weeks to go. They also decided to renege on our agreement to publish the Noah syndrome 2 days before I was to sign the deal with the distributor. In other words, they made a very carefully considered decision to cause me as much damage as they possibly could. Since they had pulled out of the conference, they actively encouraged everyone to demand a refund. And since the Cassiopeanists were the majority of the participants at the conference, that meant virtually no conference at all. Since I had focused on Noah as my 3rd book, I was now 1 book short, and so the book deal was at risk. I had explained all this to them, so they knew exactly when and how to attack and destroy. They carefully waited an entire month until it was too late to get a refund and therefore cancel the conference, and until I was locked into publishing their book before they made their move. A simple direct communication from them during that month saying they just didn't want to do it would have corrected the entire situation with minimal loss all around. They chose not to. Mid-August 2001, Laura did all this publicly on the discussion groups without word to me personally. Then she banned me from the groups before I could respond. In an attempt to prevent my side of what was rapidly which was a rapidly disintegrating situation, I compiled an email list from everyone who had ever replied to an email from the Cassiopaean groups and sent those folks all the relevant banned emails. Apparently, Laura and Ark figured that I would take such a massive financial hit without saying a word of complaint. They acted shocked when I tried to set the record straight and said I considered that wrecking the conference and the book deal in a way they did were very unfriendly acts. Did I read that right? They acted shocked when I tried to set the record straight. Yeah. Okay. I explained to those wanting refunds that since we were going on with the conference, refunds would be given after the conference date to anyone who didn't attend because of the Cassiopeans and wanted one. Laura insisted to her minions that this was not good enough and encouraged them to charge their refund back on their credit cards. This resulted in several folks getting multiple refunds that took months to track down and sort through. Bottom line, I lost $5,000 on the conference. The results of losing the book deal were even worse. Loss of our Christmas distribution window meant the death of the company, a net loss of many thousands of dollars. Laura, on her private discussion group, gloated and described her campaign of systemic harassment designed to do the maximum amount of damage.
Question, Todd, is that something a service to others person does who just wants to set a boundary?
Absolutely not. Let's just say someone slighted a service to others person. They're not going to run a systemic campaign of harassment on anyone. They maybe
admit to behind closed doors is what they're doing.
Right, and gloat about it and continue it and make life even worse by telling people to do chargebacks and do it now, and it's not good enough that he's gonna wait to refund your money just to see if you don't show up, and so on and so forth. She was out for maximum damage because that feeds, in my opinion, she's doing this because that feeds the mirror spell that she did with him. He picked up on it.
Yeah, he saw it for what it was.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he didn't pick up on what she's doing now.
I think he's only trained in certain forms of magic, not this form that she did.
Well, I'm not the only reason I'm informed in black magic is because it's good to be informed about the spells that people can do on your enemy. Right. It's a way to protect. It's a way to protect yourself, and so I would just suggest don't be naive and think that if I don't look into black magic, it's not gonna. If I don't look into it, if I don't believe it, it's not going to affect me. No,
it will affect you.
It will affect, regardless of whether you believe it or not. And you're not succumbing to black magic to study black magic.
Yeah. That's not why we study it, not to do it. We just study it to know what it is so we can recognize it when it's being done. And
so you can also learn how to reverse it and how to protect yourself, and also to learn how they orchestrate it, because within these black magic spells, especially with destiny swapping, they have to destroy you. They have to steal your energy. They've got to squeeze it out of you.
It's the same as an unaliving spell, which
Right.
this is why I've survived, is because I've educated myself. I know
Right.
it's ticking people off that I'm still alive and I'm still on YouTube, but I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I'm gonna learn what I need to learn because you keep your friends close and you keep your enemies closer.
Right.
Um,
Okay. So will you
I
will
just
you read?
can I just say that I hope that Laura Knight just enjoys everything that's coming to her. I hope she enjoys the fiery pits of density negative and she enjoys dealing with that because the evil I have never in my life. I've met some pretty heinous people, especially on the internet, but this person takes the cake.
And
Like
this is just one. This is just one person.
this is
Years and years ago, I can only imagine.
what's happened since. This is just skimming the surface. I mean, I said to you, I think it was last night, or maybe it was this morning, Todd. I was like, do you think she's ever done anything good in her life? Like
No,
anything that actually helps somebody else without gaining anything for herself?
no. And I have never acted like this. And someone that so brazenly acts like this for such an extended period of time and puts so much energy into it, that person isn't just going to stop there.
Yeah.
That person's just going to continue that.
I've had this done to me multiple times.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
minute
And
you say
I've had
something-
this done. I've had this done to me as well. We've both had this done
and the
to
minute
us.
you say something to try to protect yourself, they're all like, look how terrible that person is because they're
Right. How
actually
dare you defend? Yeah. How dare you defend yourself?
how dare
Yeah.
you try to
Okay.
protect yourself? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Right.
you want me to take over?
Yeah. September, October 20.
September, October 2001. It took over a month, but cracks appeared in the ranks of the Cassiopean faithful. As more folks questioned the merging party line, they were simply banished and attacked. I waited until the refunds for the conference had been dispatched and then went semi-public on another discussion group formed by ex-Cassiopeanists. More refuge crossed over, and it became apparent that the cult was undergoing a purge. Anyone who questioned their behavior was dismissed from their presence. However, I still seemed to be the enemy. The reason why emerged obliquely,
Obliquely.
before I left their house in July, ARC had given me a CD with the complete and unedited Cassiopean transcripts. As I read the unedited sessions, I was appalled. I joked in one of our last conversations in July that she would be wise to never let anyone else read the unedited versions. It was that damning. That's how much she's changed, guys.
Right. And this was back there. This is back in 2001. It's nuts that this has been hidden for so long. And she's gotten away with this for so long. Like, it's blowing my mind. It's still like it's taking time to fully sink in. When I read this part, I was just like, holy shit.
So let me just, so if anybody who's in the Cassiopean group watching this, hate watching us right now, let me read this again for you. As I read the unedited sessions, I was appalled. I joked in one of our last conversations in July that she would be wise to never let anyone else read the unedited versions. It was that damning.
And the unedited versions is going to
down
be
in the description box below. So if Laura is your savior, if you think she's perfect, prove yourself right. Prove us wrong. Go and look at the unedited versions for yourself. Towards the end of October, I mentioned to the anti-Cassiopean discussion group that the unedited transcripts were far from flattering, and someone else joked about publishing them anonymously, and suddenly the Cassiopeanists went on the attack. November 2001. As the discussion group flames war died down somewhat in mid-November, I began to receive emails and calls from friends and associates, people I'd worked for or had written articles for. Seeing that someone named Andrew C. Rowland claimed to be an official of the, I can't see that. What was that?
Official of the Perseus Foundation.
Perseus Foundation, and suggesting that he was a lawyer, was contacting them and asking for information on my background. When an individual would respond positively, Mr. Rowland would write back with a series of circulus. The R's are blurring together for me there. What is that word? Is it U-R-I?
Scurrilous.
Allegations. Sometimes it's so small and there's like multiple letters.
Yeah, sorry. It's okay. Yeah, it's showing up different on here. So scurrilous allegations.
And threatened to blacken the individual's reputation with guilt by association if they didn't pull my articles, etc. Over Thanksgiving weekend, my publisher
published their expose based on the results of the above investigation. Basically, they discovered that one version of my bio blurb on the internet had an error in it. From that, they decided that everything else in my credits was false and just ran with it.
No.
Anything in my negative in my life was held to be true, but anything positive was held to be a lie. By carefully asking the wrong questions and sometimes to the wrong organizations, they managed to acquire some responses that could be used to prove their point. And no matter what else is presented to them, they remain unmovable on these facts. Even the person who found the original error on the bio blurb has publicly stated that they are misrepresenting the facts. It was not enough to destroy the conference, damage my company almost beyond repair, and cause me massive financial loss. They were now going for my reputation and my work as a writer in a very public way. I have something to say about that. There was a mistake on my bio on Fusion Body Studios on something.
Yeah.
And I didn't write it. It was actually, this is no big deal, guys. Paula had put something that I guess she had misheard for me.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I texted her and she changed it immediately. No big deal. It was just a mistake. So when you're looking at people's bios like that, sometimes they're not even the person writing it. Somebody else is writing it. And there's just an innocent mistake that's not meant to be malicious. So to take that out of context like that is just beyond disturbing.
You want me to read now?
Yeah. Please,
right.
I'm having a hard time seeing it.
Yeah, okay. December 2001. Foolishly, I replied to their accusations, and while this addressed every point in their expose and apologized for the error, they found a way to cut and paste and ignore enough to use it as a springboard for further attacks. That's narcissistic tactics. Take things out of context, cut it up, then put it out, and then spin it. And At that point, I offered to mutually back off and to try for the third time to return their CD of the unedited sessions. They had twice refused delivery. This was ignored as their attack went into this phase. They approached my co-author on A Monument to the End of Time with Jay Widener and began a subtle campaign of bait and switch designed to turn him against me. By mid-December, they had succeeded, and he demanded that I stop publishing A Monument to the End of Time. This was, of course, the final blow to my publishing company. I let it all go out of business on January 1st, 2002. January 2002. Early in January, the momentum shifted. By diligent detective work, Fred Earland was located. Since he had been avoiding the Cassiopaean website, he had no idea how things had changed. He was, frankly, stunned to see how his work was being distorted and warped to support Laura's cult of personality. He immediately gave permission for the publication of the unedited transcripts, as was his right as the inviolable, I don't even know how to pronounce the word, co-author of the material. So basically saying that it was his right because he was the co-author. And
he owns the copyright, doesn't he?
Right. What's that?
He also owns the copyright too,
well, until he was sued for it. So we'll get into that. This led to a new round of attacks from the Cassiopeans. Laura began a mammoth second volume of her auto hagiography in which Fred and I were called chief villains. I announced the closure of the old Etheria books and released all copyrights and braced for the next round.
Pause.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? Let us know in the comment section, guys. Should we, you and me, after we get through all of this, go through one by one all of Fred's transcripts?
I mean, maybe. It's a lot.
Maybe even consider like comparing them to what she's published.
Well, I mean, I could do that. I was starting to do that first. Before I found all this, I was trying to figure out a way to expose all of this, and then I found the mother lode with Vincent Bridges stuff. But what I was doing, and our listeners can do this for themselves. They can download the transcripts, Fred's transcripts. You can copy one whole session and paste it into AI, whether it be ChatGPT or Grok. And then you could go to the transcripts on the Cassiopeans website and you could copy and paste the other version, her version, and you can ask ChatGPT to tell you what's been changed because it's an easier way to compare.
Yeah.
And I did that for the first two sessions, and in both sessions there was like 15 to 20 differences that were found just from those two sessions. So there's a lot. It's subtle. Some of it's subtle.
Some of it's not so subtle.
Yeah, some of it's not so subtle, and always benefits Laura.
Yeah.
Always. And so I stopped because I started doing all of this. I started diving into all of this.
But
we
let
could get
us know,
back,
guys, if that's something you would potentially like for us to do in the future, let us know.
Yeah, we can get back to that for sure. Okay. February 2002, as Laura wrote thousands and thousands of words on our new Adventures series, the real struggle developed over the unedited transcripts and the copyrights to the material. By the end of the month, Fred had acquired a copyright attorney. The anti-Cassiopean discussion groups flourished. I began serious work on my Cassiopean book, now titled The Psychopathology of Channeling. Laura provided material with almost every installment of the Adventures with the Cassiopean series.
The gift that keeps on giving.
I know.
That's one thing about these crazy. I mean, I said to you last night, I don't even think she's a narcissist. I think she's a megalomaniac.
Uh-huh.
I think it's beyond narcissism. I think it's megalomania is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. Okay. March, April 2002. I settled all the outstanding problems with my co-author and challenged his right to the Etheria books. As we resolved these problems, and as Laura failed to provide any proof whatsoever of her accusations against me, he began to catch on to her manipulation. He attempted to moderate a settlement between us, to which I was basically agreeable, but everything fell through when the rest of the folks on the various Rebel Alliance groups took it public on Usenet groups without permission. At the same time, Laura and Ark threatened, intimidated, and finally tricked Fred into a copyright settlement that left them free to do whatever they want with the unedited transcripts.
The edited transcripts, not the unedited.
No, wait, you're right, with the edited transcripts.
The fake ones.
The fake ones. Yeah. In return, Fred's name was changed to Frank. I went through a few name changes as well, some of which can still be found on the web, before my real name reappeared. In the meantime, I instituted the Don't Feed the Demon policy and took down all the discussion groups, which I was looking for those in the Wayback Machine, but couldn't find any material because he said there was a lot of discussion back and forth. All those discussion groups about people that had left the cult and between himself. And
I would absolutely love if there is anybody watching this, even from 20 years ago, that left the cult and you want to speak out, or even anonymously speak out. We can change your name if you want to tell your story. Todd, what's your email?
The Little Confused Wanderer at gmail.com.
And mine is esotericatlanta@gmail.com. Please reach out to one of us. Let us know, and we will be more than happy to support you in whatever you want to do to tell your story.
I'll put my email down in the description box. Okay. Can you read, or do you want me to keep going?
Yeah. May 2002. Laura expanded her reach in May with an article on the Universal Seduction website claiming that I was some kind of counterintelligence program agent. I and two of the other key participants, my co-author, Jay Wagner, and Dr. Terry Burns, who did the original research on which Laura based her expose, wrote extensive refutations of her comments, all of which the folks at Universal Seduction decided was not as good as the story as her claims of the counterintelligence infiltration. In that article, I also announced that I was working on the psychopathology of channeling. Eventually, I put the whole mess up on my website along with snippets from our earlier discussion groups and braced for the next attack. It wasn't long in coming. I found that I had now morphed into a supercomputer hacker who installed another group's cyber identity just to leave taunting notes on their discussion board. This is so ludicrous as to be pure paranoid parody. Their evidence was the fact that one member had troubled with their phone bill, possibly caused by unauthorized internet service, at the same time that I posted a few comments to their supposedly open discussion forum. From this, I realized that they would go to any lengths possible to attribute a crime to me personally. They were playing for keeps, and emboldened by their victory over Fred, I was their next target. I mean, it is crazy what he's saying, because like everything of any type of uncomfortableness that happens to them, they always blame it on something else. It's always somebody else's fault, something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Are they anybody that like walks past Laura's house, according to the Cassiopeans, is like a Lizzie spying on them, or the government spying on them, when literally, like, she lives in Florida, a lot of people walk. It's crazy.
Right.
May to October 2002. After the Universal Seduction Exchange, I tried my best to ignore the whole Cassiopean affair. I concentrated on getting my life back together after the long struggle. I hoped that if we all went away and stopped giving her anything to rant about, she would move on to a new fascination. In a way, that's what happened. Except now her experience with me, seen through the lens of the counterintelligence group, delusion, and shaped by the innate racism of Moravif, known for his work, Gnosis study, and commentaries on the esoteric tradition of Eastern Orthodoxy, transformed into the doctrine of organic portals. A pernicious paranoid delusion became a very dark and fear-ridden worldview. However, since I am in no way any kind of an agent for anybody or anything, and certainly not any kind of controlled opposition agent, then her assumptions based on that view of our interactions is seriously and basically flawed. It appears somewhat obvious that her desire to rationalize her very negative and aggressive behavior, not just to me, but to almost everyone who had ever crossed her path, led her to formulate a metaphysical theory that would allow her to dehumanize anyone, anytime as needed. This allows her to justify years of negative social behavior, from attempted unaliving to promiscuity and divorce, to mail order scam, social security, insurance, and insurance fraud, and trashing friends and co-workers as simply fighting off the non-humans. If the offending person is actually non-human, soulless, energy-sucking vampire being, then any kind of dirty trick or aggressive tactic is allowed. Any sane person can see how this perspective is very dangerous. Yet the people inside the cult seem to think it is somehow all right, and even a valuable insight. These developments have more than proved my basic contention that the Cassiopeans are a dangerous cult led by a very disturbed individual.
Yeah, but let's go. I feel it's important to go back to the organic portal thing.
Yeah.
Organic portals have the spark of the creator within them. They do exist. They are a thing, but it doesn't give anyone the right to label anyone as an organic portal. Doesn't give anyone a right to treat people badly because they think they're an organic portal. It was never meant to be a label to be used. It was never meant to be a weapon. It was never meant to be us versus them, or that there are people out there that are lesser than us. It makes no difference. Just don't even bother trying to figure out. The Cassiopeans even said, when I say Cassiopeans in quotes,
they said don't label people.
That it takes long observation of someone and their actions and who they are and so on and so forth to figure it out. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's really not possible. If someone is acting like Laura, for instance, just set a boundary and get them out of your life. Because if anyone here is acting like an organic portal,
it's Laura.
It's Laura, and I'm not. And this is sort of a joke. This is a joke. Me turning it around on her like this, but in a sense, if you have someone in your life that's acting like Laura, just create a boundary and get them out. The label doesn't even matter. Just protect yourself and get away. That's all that's needed. No labels needed. It's just this person is being harmful. This person is acting like a narcissist, a psychopath, sociopath, whatever, and then you just figure your plan to get away and that's that. So organic portals, suppressive people. It's in this sense in a cult. It's going to be used in the same way, and it's just yeah. So how do I turn this thing off?
You go to the share button.
But now,
You go above, look above the toolbar, and you'll see stop share. Sorry, guys, I'm giving a tutorial while. You see it?
No, because
show you. Hold on.
Hold on, no. I'm gonna get this.
Hold on. I'm coming.
You see, it moved my thing.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
It's like magic. I teleported from one studio to the other.
Yeah. By location.
I bilocated. Yeah, it was right in front of him, guys.
Yeah.
Right
this took longer than I thought to read. I had another article that's my favorite one, and we're gonna wait for that article because a guy wrote this article, the Tomasi guy, the Rollo Tomasi, and he wrote this great article. Like it's like an article you would read in like the Rolling Stone.
Oh yes, you've read this to me, right?
Yeah, And so we're gonna do that next episode. That's gonna be what we're gonna read over is that article, and then I'll
You know what we could do, Todd?
What's that?
You and I could pause for a second, go to the bathroom, get something to drink. I can insert a little commercial here, and then we can come back.
No, let's not do that because then it just makes it too long. Let's just do it in small doses because all
right. Well, actually, that's a good question for our audience. Do you guys like the 1.5, 2-hour mark, or do you want like a 3-hour one? I don't want to go over going over 3 hours is awful. Like I don't want to do that. That's too much.
Yeah.
But do you guys want us to do them longer, or do you want us to do them shorter? We got a lot of information. It's going to be multiple episodes because there's a ton of information.
We probably have another, I don't even know, 10 episodes of this stuff, and it gets even
The reason why I asked if you want to just take a break is because I've got so much going on the rest of the week. Is that
no? My throat's good.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, you might be able to do that with that one without me too.
Yeah, I can do that one without you. Sure, I can read that one.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, cool.
All right.
Let us know
until next time.
below.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Don't be in a cult. All right. Bye, everybody. Don't be culty. Okay, bye, guys.